Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I am going to work on hashtag 52 tags, and I'm actually 2 weeks behind. I need to make week 30 and week 31. Friday will begin week 32. So I'm going to attempt at least week number 30, which is a brooch. I've taken Anne's advice and I have cut a piece of batting the size that I actually want my tag brooch to be. I've played around with all kinds of things and I'm sort of going outside of the box for me. I tend to go vintage and darker. I'm going to bring in some of this trim here that I have had forever and not used. So I'm going to start by, I want this to be my background on here. And I decided, based on the way, I want to use this rusty pen. And the way that I have to attach that is with another section, thinner section coming down. I want this to be a finished edge like this. So I'm just going to stick my batting in here just to give me an idea of where my fabric needs to be. And I'll just envelope it so that I have a finished edge on the top. It's going to make my tag a little bit thicker, but I don't mind that. So I'm going to cut that. Been playing around and playing around and playing around. I've had a dozen different pieces of material out. Finally, I thought, just do it. So that is going to be my background, and I will need to trim some of this off on the bottom. And then I decided I liked the way this fabric looked with this fabric, and it had this frayed edge. So that's how I decided. I was going to have it over further, but with the way, these are the two pens I have, and neither one is wide enough to support the width of my brooch or tag. And I didn't want I didn't want it to be smaller than my tag itself. So I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave enough of this to go over the back. I'll stitch that to the back of my fabric. But basically, yeah, and I think that's what I'll do. I'm just going to pin that so I know that is my top. The only thing I can't figure out is what stitching I want to do. Such a dilemma. I'm sure something will come to me. Hopefully it will be the right decision. So that's going to be there, and I don't like the way that. Maybe I'll just leave that lay there for a second. I want to bring in some of this vintage lace, and I'm going to put it underneath here to keep that longer on that end. Just need to decide how far over I want all this. Trying to keep in mind that that's what needs to attach to my pen. So that's good. Whoop. I say that's good and then I move it. And let's see. I want this to hang down. So I'm going to cut this longer than what I know I need. is going to go here. I don't know what to do with this end. I guess I'll leave it right like that. Bring this up some more. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So I'll bring that up. I'm just going to put a pin down here to try to hold these in place. You know, this doesn't look like much. Maybe I'll start it through there and through there. And then I want to take this, and I think I'm going to put this right there. And I just want it to be at the top there, so I'm going to, do I want it to hang down or do I want that to end? Decisions, decisions. Let's see, I do want, well, I'm going to cut that stuff like that, and we'll see. I don't know how far this is going to hang. I know I want my lace to hang down. I might end up cutting the, well, I don't know. I'm going to leave this right like this for now. So I'm going to put a pin in this. See if I can get it to stay. A lot of pins in here. Alright, so that's going to be the base, I think. I'm going to have to play with this lace to position it the way I want it as I stitch it down. With these pins, at least for me, it seems to move my fabric around. I'm sure it's the pinner. Alright, and then I know this is going to be up here, so I might need to cut off some more from the bottom. Something like that. I want it to be as close. Yeah, something like that. That's going to go about there. And I want this, since it has this pattern, I definitely want that to look straight. So that's what I've come up with. I just have to figure out what stitching I want to do. I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to turn the camera off and maybe just, well, I'll come back in just a few. Okay, so I decided I have my batting inside my fabric here. I'm just going to start by stitching my fabric together here. Because I feel like if I don't do that before I start attaching things, my fabric is going to be all stretched out. And so I'm hoping that this will keep my edges even. Now I'm just going to use just a little running stitch all the way around. And then I'm going to add piece by piece, I think, just to get them on to my tag, and then I'll decide what stitching I want to do and if I want to do something in different colors. That's what I'm struggling with. Like, what color would I want to do my stitching in? I always lean towards ecru, and I know it doesn't show up very good. So I don't know with the bright trim if I should do something more colorful or if I should keep it simple and in ecru. So I'll decide that once I get all my pieces together. So all I'm going to do is stitch all the way around this, just like I'm doing, and then I'm going to start adding my other pieces. So I don't think you need to see me do this. I think it would be boring. So I'm going to turn you off while I do that, and I'll come back. Hello again. Well, I've tried many things. I've torn some stuff out. I went ahead and started to do something and I just didn't like the way it looked. I think ultimately I'm going to fill this whole section in with some yellow seed stitch, and then I might come back and do something over here. I'm not quite sure, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera because I think that you will find it extremely boring to watch me do all these little stitches. And so that's what I'm going to work on, finishing all of these seed stitches, and then if I decide to do something more, I'll come back and show you before I do it, or bring you along to do it. But I think I'm just going to do that. I want to keep this sort of simple. I'll do the seed stitching and then make a determination. See you in a few. Okay, so I went ahead and I did my yellow seed stitches all along here. And I think what I'm going to do is, I started one French knot here. I'm just going to run some French knots on this side, I think in between each of these flowers. Just do this real quick. Whoop. I wish I knew how to make those. I think Rachel calls them colonial knots because they're bigger and messier, but I don't know how to do those. I would like to do those on here, but I don't know how. And I am wrapping this 5 times to try to make them a little bit bigger, but and I have 4 strands of DMC floss, making them a little bit bigger, but not much. And then one more down here. Go. And I think that is going to be my brooch. I left this thread on here. Threw my needle across the room. There we go. So I got that threaded. I'm going to put, I think, this here. And I'm not going to have it hang down too far. So I am just going to stitch. Yeah. Stitch this down flat to here. I'm just going to try to go through the back side with some little stitches just to hold that in place. I don't really need this that long, so I'm going to cut this off. I'm glad the back of this isn't going to be seen. Because it's a bit of a mess. I'm just being careful not to go through the front. I just want to stitch this down so it's not flapping around. Nope. Let's do this with this thread. Let's leave my little tail too long and then it starts getting caught up in everything. But if I make it short, then my needle comes unthreaded. Make sure I'm getting to this fabric here. I got that on there. It's nice and secure. Make sure this is laying flat. Cut that off. And there is my brooch. I sort of like the fact, let's see here if I can find the front of this. Huh. What have I done? What have I done? There we go. Don't want to tear my tags. Something's going on with my hoop here. There we go. I like the fact that that one's sort of bright. I think a lot of mine are more muted. So there we go. I hope the seed stitches are showing up. So my brooch is done. Thank you all for visiting my channel. I'm one step closer to being caught up on my tags. I just have the next one. I haven't watched the video yet because sometimes when I'm working on the previous one, it's distracting to me because my mind is on what am I going to do on the next one. So I will watch that this evening after I have my dinner and come up with an idea for the next one. So thanks again. Hope you all have a great day. Happy crafting, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.